Ladies and gentlemen, Nadika is about to come on and rock your world, teaching how to remove all these blocks and barriers to real connection, real love that lasts. So definitely stick around. We're going to dive in. This woman is a powerhouse doing great things in the world. So before that, thank you so much for being here. I value you. I just honor you for being on the journey of becoming your greatest possible self, taking every step that you can to be the best version of yourself. Thank you for being here. The next step is going to be our iTunes review of the week. And this week it's by Dom Brightman, who said a spirit bomb of good, life-changing, and empowering content. Chris has a great podcast that has curated some of the Earth's most inspiring humans that deliver value. It's great when the host has energy and the guests also bring their A game. Give this a listen, or over 9,000 listens. Dom, thank you so much for that review on iTunes. If you want a chance to get shouted out on a future 12-hour live stream, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Greatest Possible Self on the Apple Podcast Store, and you can give us a review there. Thank you so much in advance for doing that. Let us know what you love, what you want to see more of, how we can improve the show for you. I'm going to introduce Nadika in just a second here. Before that, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes. This is going to be a powerful interview, so you definitely want to stay tuned all the way through to the end, because one idea has the power to change everything for you. Nadika Viswakula prides herself in being an intuitive and a bit of a modern-day hippie. She has studied an array of alternative types of healing that she swears has transformed her life and the lives of the people that she has had the honor of working with. She has been an entrepreneur from a young age, which led her down several different paths of financial success. But she says there was always a small missing piece from the puzzle. As Nadika explored, seeked, and delved deeper within herself, she found the true essence of her being, which is what ultimately enhanced her levels of love, connection, and joy. She mastered bridging the gap from getting what she wants to attracting what she deserves. She claims that what she is attracting into her life is far grander than what she ever imagined possible for herself. She says that she learned how to get out of her head and into her heart. And we are blessed to have Nadika with us here today. You ready to rock the house, Nadika?
I'm ready. Thank you for having me, Chris.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And the energetic conversation that we had last time, and just all that you're stepping into and how you're empowering people. I'm super, super grateful to have you. Our audience is blessed, and we're going to dive right into the theme of today, which is attracting, manifesting your dream partner. What does that mean for you, Nadika?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of us are conditioned to believe that our happiness can be sought from outside of ourselves. So when I get that car that I really want, I will become happy. When I get that girl or guy that I want, I will be happy. And I'm going to wait for my happiness to come from something else. And the thing is when I do that, I'm giving my power away to that other thing. So if I don't have that car, if I don't achieve that accolade or that achievement, if I don't achieve it, that means I don't get to be happy. So what I teach people to do, and what I've learned to do for myself, is to be in the driver's seat of my experiences at all times. Yes. So being in the driver's seat means that I get to choose when I'm happy, because happiness comes from me, within me. And when I am happy, then I get to attract someone that's at the same playing field. So if I'm having, and this is not a session about judging anyone, because we're all in different places on our journey, but if I'm having a hard time getting up out of bed in the morning and I'm just feeling my energy is really low all of the time, I'm not feeling connected and passionate about what I'm doing in my life, then we're like magnets. So I'm usually going to attract someone that's at that very similar playing field. Now, what happens when we're in a relationship with two people vibrating at that same level of frequency? You're both having a really hard time getting out of bed. You're both unmotivated. You both haven't really connected to what your true purpose is in life. So you're kind of going to be stuck in this bit of a muck. And so that's why I always say, if I work within myself, on myself first, then I can elevate my frequency, my level of awareness, my level of self-love, in order to attract someone that's in that same place on their own. They don't need me. I don't need them. It's just this beautiful union of choosing to be together.
I love it. I love it, Nadika. I think that's like it, like when you don't need that external person, that's when they come in. If you are in that neediness, then there's some kind of dependency, which will show up and manifest itself in the relationship. And there will never be that true happiness of just being with oneself, which I think that builds up over time, and partners can feel that and things like that. So I think it's what you're saying about being in the alignment of like, hey, if I'm good with myself, I'm loving myself, I'm also going to attract someone who is in that same space. And it's going to be an upward spiral rather than a downward spiral of people who are like in scarcity, in fear, in lack, whatever it might be, just not feeling worthy, because then it's just going to be a reflection for each other that continues to go downwards. Unless, I mean, both people are super committed to their growth to get out of that place. And I think it's really easy to be, if you're with someone else who is, thinking negative thoughts, toxic behaviors, habits, things like that, it's easy to get sucked in by that, unless there's like just a relentlessness towards that personal growth.
Yeah. So I wanted to reiterate also that it really is not a judgment session. We're not here to judge at what level we're at on our healing journey. Everyone's in their own unique place. But the word conscious partnerships, conscious relationships, it sometimes triggers people, but I wanted to kind of clarify what that means to me.
Sure.
So what being in a conscious relationship means to me is that I have an awareness that I'm walking into a relationship with, again, this is sort of a negative connotation, but for the purpose of understanding, with my own baggage. Yes. And the other person is walking in with their own baggage. And everybody in this world has baggage of some sort. So we all walk in, and it's about having an awareness of what's in my baggage, yes, and having some tools on how to manage it. So when I walk into a relationship, I'm able to say to the person on the other side, my partner, that, hey, listen, like this, I've kind of got this stuff that I've been carrying around for a while. I'm working with it. Yes. It will likely come up even in this relationship with you. But when it does, I'm willing to take ownership that this was mine before I met you. So that's what I call sort of a conscious relationship, because we do in relationships kind of bring each other's triggers up. We Sure. bring up that baggage to look at again, because we're here to evolve and heal these things through relationships. So relationships are a beautiful thing, even if they don't necessarily work in the long term. Relationships are always a gift because they're here to teach us something at this time.
I love it. Nadika, I know we're going to dive into more about you and your brand in just a second, but while we're on the topic, I really love this. Something came up for me is like acceptance of who someone is and the quote unquote baggage or things that they're bringing into the relationship. How does acceptance come into your conversation about being in a conscious relationship? What value, or how does someone, utilize acceptance to create the most harmonious, prosperous relationship?
Well, for me, I think it's been like 100% consistent that I'm always attracting someone who is my mirror in one way or another, whether it's in my conscious awareness or whether it's in my subconscious awareness. So I believe that if I am more aligned and more in tune to my own baggage, my own past, and my own experiences, and really connecting to sort of what went on for me to have these emotions come up, for me to have these beliefs come up about myself. When I'm in tune to that, and I have learned to have love and compassion for myself, it automatically becomes easier, because it reminds me, it's like, oh, I remember that feeling when I was feeling not good enough, and I can see in the mirror that this is what's happening for them. Now, it's not happening to them, it's happening for them. And it's the same thing for me. Life doesn't happen to me, it's happening for me. It's like, what is this providing an opportunity for me to look at, learn, evolve, and grow from?
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. This is awesome. So tell us a little bit more about how you serve your clients as the Naked Love Coach, which I think is awesome. It's like a really kind of catchy phrase, and it piques curiosity, and there's so many different dimensions that it can go into. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so for me, I like the word naked because it's a little bit cheeky. You know, we've been so socially conditioned to have it be a taboo word, yet it's something that we all resonate with. Like, we all came into this world naked. Yep. And I mean that figuratively, and I mean it like it's also and also physically, but figuratively, like we came here and we were just such pure souls.
Yes.
We didn't, we all are still pure souls, but we've sort of got these personas that we've taken on, these masks that we've put on. We identify with our name, we identify with our job title, how much money we make, our social status, our status of whether we're single, married, or in a relationship, or it's complicated. We relate to all of these things and we judge ourselves, which I find when we judge ourselves, we give other people permission to judge us. So, I mean, if we're not being kind to ourselves, we're automatically giving other people permission to not be kind to us. It's kind of like, is that what I really want in my life?
No.
Definitely not me anymore. I'm not going to lie. I used to give people that permission and then I had to check myself. So
yeah, well, I think it's that consciousness, right? Like recognizing, hey, what are the things, the wounds, the stuff in the past? How is it showing up in my space today? How am I dealing with it? What are the techniques and tools that I can use today to break through it? And then now, how do I best deal with other people who come into my reality as mirrors in the process? You know, it's this dance of doing our best every moment, and there's going to be times where our best still isn't like doesn't contain the trigger so that it doesn't blow out of proportion, even like, you know, for a couple minutes or a couple hours or a couple days or whatever it might be. It's like having that compassion with ourselves to be authentically us. But I really love that we can get back to that core that we came from, that naked self, the real self, the true self that is within all of us, right? That pure divine light being is within all of us. And then there's these stories that we may have picked up along the journey. How do we show up even with those stories, even with the baggage that we may have been carrying?
Exactly. Yeah. So I kind of look at it like peeling back the onion layer by layer by layer, because a lot of us have created sort of protective barriers and they served a purpose for a period of time. Yeah. And now it's time, if you choose, to let it go and sort of like experience life through a different lens, I like to call it.
Yeah. And I love your permission based coaching and being here on this interview, right? Like if you choose, right? And at the beginning, you're saying this isn't here to be a judgment or anything like that, not better or worse than you. Like just, it's a very loving, accepting energy and space that you're creating, Nadika, which I love, super, super empowering. So I want to go back into your journey and talk about how did you become the Naked Love Coach? What was that journey like for you? Tell us about that.
Well, I was an early childhood educator, so I work with little children, and sort of the birth to 8 years of age is what I'm qualified to work with. And so I studied the developing mind, and I've always been spiritually connected. I've never been I'm non-religious, but I'm very spiritually connected, and I find it really interesting because I kind of married the two together. So the science and that intuition and inner guide. And through my journey, I've worked with so many different healers and just really feel like when I was working as an early childhood educator, I loved my job every single day. There wasn't a time where I felt like I didn't want to be there. I loved the people I worked with. All of it was beautiful. Yet there was still a little piece missing. And it was cool because when I started working there, I thought I wanted to sort of preserve that childlike energy within children. And that was sort of my intention. But I realized that it's not the children, if we leave them be, they're actually so in tune to their higher self. They're so intuitive, they're so smart and connected and so powerful in their being. If you just watch them, children inspire me because it's like they are so not in their head, they're so in their heart, they're in the moment. They're not afraid to play. They're not afraid to explore. They're not afraid to be curious. And we lose that as adults. And so I realized as I was an early childhood educator, who I'm really meant to work with is their parents, because their parents are the people that are sort of the most influential people in their life. And they're also the people that are unconsciously, not in their awareness, sort of dimming their children's light. So they don't mean to do it. It's just that that's our social conditioning. It's like, Jimmy or John, don't run around, sit down and be a good boy or girl. And then all of a sudden, we're being conditioned that being playful is bad or wrong,
Yep.
and being curious is bad or wrong. And so these kinds of programming subconsciously sort of get instilled in us. And I realize that it's if we leave the kids alone, they're good. And it's our conditions as adults to just kind of peel back those layers and actually learn to play and be curious like these children, and watch them and observe them and be a lot more like them.
Yeah. I think we've been conditioned into being more like robots, as the adult is supposed to be a robot, get things done, work, provide, and it's almost like all the fun, all the expansion, all the creativity, the play, the magic, the wonder got sucked out of being an adult, And I think what you're saying is so spot on. If we remember what it's like to be a kid, if we reconnect with them, if we watch them, I went to a school playground a couple of years ago just to like watch kids, like I don't have a lot of young kids in my life, so I said, hey, I just want to go see how are they showing up, what is their energy like, what is their innocence like, what does it look like when they're playing soccer, how do they treat each other, how do they dance and play and sing, all these things, and just to go get present in that energy and that way of being. It has been easy for me to forget how to be a kid because I got so caught up with the responsibilities of life, so to speak. So I think it's spot on. I think especially the parents don't necessarily know what they are doing to influence their kids in that way, in that like, hey, I think I'm being a good parent by telling you to sit down, be quiet, do your homework, and stop playing, right? And what are the consequences, and what's going to happen long term if something like that were to keep up? And again, no judgment. And how can we be more conscious of these types of behaviors so that we can be proactive in letting the kids do what they're going to do, and being supportive, a supportive, nurturing space, but also not a controlling and constricting space.
Yeah, so I started off working with parents of the children in my classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And so just sort of coaching them through the journey. And then I realized, if I reverse engineered this, really before we're parents, before parents are parents, they're a couple. And before they're a couple, they're individuals. And each one of us, before we get in our partnership, we've already got our baggage. Like we've got our baggage by the time we're 6, 8 years old. So even when you're working with teens, you can still kind of clear this stuff. The earlier we start this work, the better off we are, the more of the world we get to see through a more open lens instead of a more confined lens with all that conditioning limiting us. So we get to open that up, broaden up our horizons. So I always say the sooner that you do the work, the better. But you know what? It's never too late. So I've seen people make massive transformations for themselves in a very short period of time. So if you can be living in more love, peace, joy, and bliss, which is your birthright, which is every single one of our birthright. So yeah, then why not?
I love it. I love that you said bliss. I just drew the card, like we have cards. My girlfriend has cards, Petty has cards, and drew it today as bliss. The card was bliss. So it's awesome that it's coming up. Let's move forward into your entrepreneurial journey and how, like, you were working with the individual, the parents, like, what was the transition into saying, hey, like, I really want to make this my main thing, my brand, and then especially like the energy component and supporting people in being the fullest self-expression of their real selves. Like, when did that start to all come together, or how did it all start to come together?
So through my own spiritual journey within myself, I realized on a very subconscious level that this is actually where I'm meant to be, because it's how I feel when I'm doing this. I feel naturally high. Like, people take a substance to get high sometimes. And for me, like, I feel so high and vibrating on such a high level, sort of like that excited child feeling.
Yep.
And it's when I'm serving and when I'm doing this. But what I didn't realize was that I was so afraid to step into this. And there was a huge block in me stepping into who I am today, stepping into my power so that I can serve on this platform. And to be completely candid and honest, being in front of a camera, speaking like this was actually such a paralyzing fear for me.
Wow.
It's something I still work with, and paralyzing to the point where if someone said that I'm going to give you $100 million to do this, I would have said, hells to the no. I don't know. Sorry if I'm not supposed to be saying that on.
You're good. You're good.
There was no way. Like, I
Wow.
was so afraid. So this is me every day
It's
taking
huge.
little baby steps towards peeling back the layers where I can show up like this. And yes, I am aware I'm on camera and I am speaking. So
But
it is.
it's awesome. It's awesome because you're giving yourself that acknowledgement as well, which I love. And I think so many people don't celebrate themselves and acknowledge, hey, I used to be, 5 miles back that way, or I used to only be able to crawl, and now I'm like walking pretty dang fast. Like, let's keep this up. I think a lot of people just fail to keep building themselves up, and especially kids, right? Like, kids are conditioned not to celebrate themselves too much, not to be too proud, not to boast, not to be too loud or whatever it might be. And I think like that self-expression and love of themselves is innate, and then we kind of condition them into don't be too much, and it's breaks my heart like seeing that happen.
Totally. And for some people, it could be like just sitting there in silence and they're like, and then all of a sudden they have a miracle.
Yep.
But I have to say, for me, it wasn't that. But I do want to share this really cool story. So as I was doing my, healing work through, and there was, I don't know if you believe in like chakra work, but
Yes.
the chakra in my throat chakra, there was a block there.
Oh, yeah.
So as I cleared that, I went on my social media and I said I was going to do a 30-day challenge. And my 30-day challenge was to get in front of my camera for 1 minute every single day for 30 days. Yes. So I did that. And days after my 30-day challenge, I was at an event supporting a friend of mine in an industry that's not actually an industry that's very familiar to me. Long story short, I got invited by someone who was there that said, you're so well spoken and we really love your look and how you present yourself. We would love for you to be our anchor, one of our anchors for our business. So it's so funny. So this gave me and I actually said, so this is, I'm going to spank myself a little bit here, but it's like, I actually said to them, I don't think you want me to be your anchor. Like, I'm not very good.
Do you know who you're talking to?
I don't have the experience, right? So I was negative self-talk, feeling insecure. And I said all of these things and they said, well, come in and let's give it a shot. So I went in and I wasn't the best anchor, but they did take me on and I've really grown and evolved. And this opportunity fell on my lap because I did the work. I put myself in front of the camera, even though it was uncomfortable every single day for a minute. I committed. I stuck to my commitment, and it does take work. And it doesn't have to be grueling. It wasn't grueling for me. I was actually surprisingly enjoying my 30-day challenge, which surprised me. So in the end, it all worked out. I still work with them, and it's been a beautiful blossoming for myself. And it brings me here doing this with you aligned with like the work that I'm doing. So, I mean, like there is no one way in which we have to get somewhere. There's lots of different ways in where we can achieve our goals.
I love it. That's so cool. That's such an awesome testimonial. Again, that no matter what we're dealing with, no matter what phase or age we are in life, we can always take on a whole new vision of saying, that's how I used to be, but who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? What is the version of myself I'm committed to stepping into, or the patterns and things that I've picked up that I'm committed to releasing so I can step into my truest self, right? So I think it's so awesome, your own journey. So let's start diving in even more to like what our audience can do to peel the layers that they might be carrying with themselves. Maybe if they're they're wanting to call in this dream partner, they're wanting to become the best version of themselves, to create that love, that juicy love that lasts a lifetime. Like, where do they begin with building that foundation of self-love, Nadika?
Well, I think, like I said, I started saying this a little bit earlier. I think it comes from a self-awareness and a consciousness. So I would encourage you to be very, very truthful and delve within yourself. Like right now, you could close your eyes and take a deep breath and ask yourself, sort of on a level of 1 to 10, what is your level of joy right now in your life? Like just generally speaking, in all the areas of your life, how happy do you feel when you wake up in the morning? And if you take a moment to actually close your eyes and be honest with yourself, the first answer that comes up is the real answer. Don't overthink it. And then it's okay if it's kind of a lower number. And it's okay if it's a higher number. I generally would say that if it's a lower number, the work is within yourself to really kind of like get to a higher level of joy. Have that be your goal. Have that be your goal. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to become happier in my own life.
Why is joy and happiness the thing that you like? It's the first thing you said, right? You could say successful, you could say, fulfilled, could be fulfilled, successful. These could all be synonyms. I'm curious why you use joy.
I use joy because with every single person that I've ever worked with and anyone I talk to, especially if you talk to people that are elderly or you talk to someone who's on their deathbed, the thing that they want the most, the thing they wish they spent most of their time focusing on is their level of joy and happiness and connection with the people that they loved. The money didn't matter. None of that stuff mattered. The things that really mattered to them was the things that brought them joy, which generally was around the people that they loved. And so I work with a lot of very financially successful people, but they're emotionally empty. And so it's not synchronized. You can be happy and financially wealthy, which is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And like, that's where abundance comes in. And what we all came from is abundance. Yeah. What I mean by that is our love and light, our oneness is connected to the universe, which is abundant.
Yep.
Right? You think about all the resources, all the air we breathe, everything comes from the universe. It is limitless. And that's what we come from. And so our connection to that, it never dies. Yeah. Yet it becomes kind of blocked and we forget that we're connected to that. So that is our true alignment. That is what we are, like, that's our birthright, is tapping into that abundance. So, so when I connect to my joy and happiness, which is abundance, automatically all other things start to flow to me like a magnet, which is money, success, connection, just even purpose, like money coming to me and opportunities coming to me through connecting to my purpose. Like, it flows with ease. I don't even have to try. The opportunities show up. Right. So
I love it. I want to highlight this, and how I'm understanding it is the joy, the happiness, it's like aliveness, the presence in the moment. Like, as long as that is being fulfilled, or we're making progress on it, we're making steps towards it, the purpose, the passion, the success, the finances, the wealth, whatever, all these are kind of secondary things that come when we are really enjoying our lives, when we're really tapped into our source, when we're tapped into, how am I feeling? How am I being guided right now? And that's not to say like everything is always going to be easy and sunshine and rainbows. Like, we have this beautiful spectrum of emotions for a reason to help guide us. And there's no emotion that is right or wrong, and vice versa. There's no emotion that's wrong, So I think to tap into the joy, it's like, what's our compass? Where are we going? How are we today? And what are some steps that we can take? And I think if we just take that look and start to reflect more on how am I feeling, then we will naturally come up with the answers and the strategies, the solutions, the next steps to be able to get to where we want to go.
Yeah. And like, one of the tangible things that I love is if I believe that I'm being held, like the universe is holding me and carrying me through this journey, even when I fall on the ground, I'm still like, there is a purpose for that falling. Yeah. And if I connect to that purpose for falling, it might just be to redirect me in a different direction, because this direction will be more destructive. This one's actually a softer direction, but I needed you to fall here so that I can get you to move in this direction. So I just like trust that I'm always being held. That's sort of been my like a barometer where I'm like, okay, listen, life's getting challenging right now, but just remember, I'm being held. So no matter what happens from this point on, I'm going to be okay. Whatever happens. And if I stick to that, it makes it less scary, and fear and anxiety is resistant energy. It's like going up the down escalator. Like, what's the point of going up the down escalator when you can just go down the down escalator or up the up escalator? Like, the universe is carrying you like in that direction. It makes it so much easier. So the resistance is anxiety, fear, all of that. And then the opposite, which is love and trust, is just with ease, going up the up escalator, coming down the down escalator.
How have you seen that come into play when people want to create a successful relationship, attract a great partner into their life?
So I believe that if you've attracted someone in your life, you usually have a contract with them. Like you signed a contract with them. It's in writing. You just didn't read the fine print. So yeah, the challenges are coming up, and so it's interesting because the universe put you together again to grow and evolve. Now, I believe that no matter what happens in a relationship, except for one thing, which is physical abuse, there's no tolerance for physical abuse, but everything else can be worked through. So even infidelity, I feel like infidelity is one of those things that people are like, well, what about infidelity? He or she cheated on me. And I always believe in the power of my language, and I correct that for them. I say, is that a truth? Is that a fact that they cheated on you? Because actually they just cheated, period. And that's an action that they need to take responsibility for if they choose. Again. And they may or may not want to choose to take responsibility for that, in which you can then make a powerful decision for yourself. But they didn't cheat on you. The moment I say that someone cheated on me, I'm now playing victim to somebody else's actions. And they're not doing it because of me, because of who I am or how they feel about me. They're doing it because of how they feel about themselves, their beliefs, and their integrity, their alignment with source, or disalignment with source.
Yeah. And it's also, it's a kind of, what I'm hearing is the gift that the universe gives you. Like when we fall down, right? Like you're still being held, you're still being guided, supported, led to your highest and best good. And it's a gift. What's the gift, right? So if there is those moments of relationship discord, disharmony, distrust, breaking trust, or whatever might be there, right? Cheating, infidelity, like it's an opportunity to say, what communication is not happening here? What is the blind spot? What is the baggage that is just totally running this relationship instead of us being conscious, empowered, loving, truthful, harmonious, a couple, the best couple that we can be? Were there expectations that weren't set properly? Is one of us dealing with stress or anxiety in an unhealthy coping way? And this is how it came out. And if we only would have had more effective communication, like we would have been able to head this off at the pass rather than, after 6 months or years of that building up. And then now here's the blow up. And I think it's a gift to investigate that, to look at it for both partners.
Right. And it might be challenging to do with just the two people within the relationship. So I encourage you to seek support, like an outside third person who is a professional, not like a friend that's going to kind of give you their advice.
No.
Someone who's sort of trained in how to best deal with these situations and give you the right tools. I always believe I believe that's what my role here is kind of guiding people and giving them the tools so that because I believe in every single one of you, like you have the power to do this. Just like my coaches, guided me going like, you have the power to do this for yourself. And because I did it by myself, I believed in my power within myself, because I was playing weak and powerless and playing small before once upon a time in my life as well. And then I chose a different path, but I had to kind of go on that long windy road for myself. And it was a bit grueling at times, but I now know that I have the power to do it and the power to overcome falling flat on my face. Several times over and over again, because sometimes it sideswipes you a different way, deceit, infidelity, all that stuff's kind of packed into one ball, but it shows up in different ways. It could show up from, someone taking money from you, or, lots of different ways. So does that answer your question? So I think like what I'm saying is that I think that when you are attracted to somebody, but not just like a Valentine's Day, oh, he's so hot kind of attraction, but like I'm really drawn to this person on a
soul level. Yes.
Yeah, I believe that there's something there for you to grow and evolve from. And I believe that you could make it work forever.
Right. If you chose to. Yeah. It's like, like you said, there's nothing outside of physical abuse that can't be like worked through and communicated, saying, hey, at this phase, we've been in a relationship for a year or 5 years or 10 years, things change, people grow, their preferences, their values, things like that. So I think it's important to have that continual commitment to come together and share, hey, here's where I'm at today for whatever reason, like this is coming up for me. I just want to share it with you. I want to be real with you. I want to be naked with you and like allow this to come up so that we can best move forward either together, or if this is something that doesn't work for your life plan and your vision of your life, then that's great too. Like Petty and I, my girlfriend, we're like, in the beginning, we said, we don't need each other. And as long as we are in this relationship and we're committed to it and we're committed to making it work, we will do whatever the heck it takes to make it work, right? We'll move heaven and earth. We'll go get counseling. We'll like do whatever, right? Get coaching to make it thrive. And if at some point either one of us is saying, it's not the relationship that we need for our spiritual fulfillment and to be our greatest possible selves, then like we'll say thank you for our time together, thank you for the season of life that we invested. I guess it's time we go our separate ways, and not to be attached to needing it to keep going on, but like there's still the mindset of I'm gonna fight for this relationship to work and be amazing and stand for it and like invest everything I've got because it's important to me. And so it's like wielding both of those at the same time. I think a lot of people might have a challenge with doing both of those and keeping those forefront.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because when you have like, I like that you had that conversation like when you started dating.
Yeah.
Because when people feel safe because they're allowed to take their baggage and open it up and have things come undone a little bit. Yeah. When we allow for ourselves to feel safe in a partnership, then we do allow for that space to grow within it as well. Like I like to call it like building an earthquake proof relationship. So like an earthquake proof building. So if back in the olden days when buildings were created like a high rise, at the sign of one impact, the entire building would come crumbling down. Now buildings are being built earthquake proof, which means that they kind of have room to take several impacts, and it kind of sways and it goes, and it hurts, it moves, it shifts, and there's still emotion and rawness that comes out, but it does not crumble. It does not need to crumble. And there will be some parts of it that break, but the whole thing won't crumble. So you just rebuild from that place that there's discord. Yeah. So I like to equate like a healthy conscious relationship to being like an earthquake proof, because no matter, I don't care which relationship it is, there will be points of impact.
Oh yeah.
Like at whatever level or whatever degree, there's just always levels of impact that come in. So
and if there wasn't, then both people are like really not showing up in their life. I would say, like, it's someone who has a will to live a great life. They have their preferences, they have their priorities, they have these things like, I want this life, right? And when two people, especially like, I know there's a lot of alpha couples coming together, like awesome people who are empowered and doing great things, and like Petty is an alpha, I'm an alpha, like we're both wanting the best life possible for each of us. And when we come together, there's going to be strong preferences either way. So we have to communicate to be able to keep that synergy. And whenever there's stress or whatever in our earthquake proof relationship, then we get to go back and mend that. But if people are just like sitting there saying, well, I'm kind of just drifting through life, whatever she wants, whatever he wants, I'll kind of just go along with it. Like there won't be that deep connection. There won't be that intimacy. There won't be the fire of passion and polarity and like things like wanting to happen, to build, to create something more. I don't think we really attract people like that onto the marathon. People who tune in, it's mainly people who are like, I want a great life. So I think that it's interesting to notice the differences of both. And what do we want to attract? I think some people might think that they want to attract someone who's who's passive and, kind of just goes along with everything that they do. And if that's you, cool. Like that's not what I wanted. I wanted someone who is like up to big things and inspires me to be a better version of myself every freaking day.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to say to that is I heard you say like all these people that are tuning in want great things for their life.
Sure.
What if I was to tell you those great things that you want are literally sitting right in front of you?
Yes.
You've just got the curtains closed a little bit. Like,
yes.
Like the blinds are closed. You've got the protective barriers. So like, again, the law of the universe is everything you want. The moment in which you want it, the universe is delivering it to you. Now we just have to look at what is the block to me actually reaching it, like just putting my hand out or even knowing that it's there. Yeah. So that's another one of those barometer things. It's like, if I know that, like I said earlier, that I trust that the universe is always holding me no matter what, even when I'm flat on the floor. This is another barometer. It's like, whatever I ask for, the universe is already, it's right there. It's, I just have to figure out what I am doing to block it from me having it like literally in my hands, in my awareness.
So how do we go about that, Nadika? How do we distinguish that and like create power around whatever that block is that we might be creating?
Well, I've actually found the power of meditation really huge, because sometimes it's not a knowing from my brain what I'm doing to block it.
Right.
So I will ask the universe for guidance. Say, I know it's there. Mm-hmm. Guide me on what it is that's blocking it. And the answer will magically appear, whether it shows up in a knowing feeling, whether it shows up in a sign. I think I shared with you in one of our conversations, like sometimes messages come to me in songs, like song titles that I've like never even heard. And I'll go and like YouTube that song and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is the answer. And it like came to me through a meditation. And so for me, that's been really helpful, because it's not always, again, in my conscious awareness. It is there in my subconscious. So in order to access that, I do that through meditation.
That's awesome. Awesome.
And meditation, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I can see this happening for both that like dream partner. Like my dream partner is already like here, so to speak, like they're here. I like to say here because like, all right, it's here. It's in my space, it's already here. What am I doing that is pushing it away? That's causing me not to see this person. We could talk about wealth. The wealth is already here. The abundance is already flowing into, through, and around my life. What am I doing that is blocking it or stopping it from actually like landing in my bank account? Like what is in my space? How can I be aware of that? So I think just setting that intention and, like you said, doing some meditation or whatever the process or practice is to get clarity around that so that we can take empowered action. It's huge.
Yeah. So this will be inspiring for someone out there, but my life partner, him and I have been friends for 10 years. Wow. Just friends. Wow. Before the energy shifted around it. Yeah. And it switched to romance. Wow. So he was right under my nose the entire time, but because of whatever reasons with the energy and the blocks that I had and the blocks that he may have, like we didn't see it with the eyes that we had. Yeah. But a cool exercise that I want to give you a tidbit of an exercise that you can take away, which I found super powerful. So when I was single, I realized like I would write down like manifesting your ideal partner. Yeah. So one of the things that I love is not necessarily writing down like what I want in a person, but how I want to feel when I'm with that person. Yeah. So how I want to feel when I'm with that person. So also what I started to do was I started to journal and document when I was feeling that way, when I was sharing my life with other men. It didn't have to be romantically. Wow. Like with my dad, for example, my dad's a very important male figure, masculine energy that's in my life. Yeah. So whenever he would do things that would make me feel just so warm and fuzzy, I would document it. Yeah. Now, what I started to do was documenting all of these things already. You're already telling the universe that you're visually appreciating and seeing these things that you absolutely appreciate and love, and makes you feel elevated within yourself. Yeah. So the universe helps you align a person that has those things, has those attributes, or knows those actions, speaks love in that language,
Yeah.
so that you receive it in that way.
This is gold.
Yeah, so you're just like documenting down. So I would go out for dinner with a friend of mine, for example, like we're just friends, there's nothing romantic, but he just made me laugh my ass off all night long.
Yes.
Come home and I would write that down. Like, I'm so grateful for Joey, who made me laugh all night long. It made me feel like whatever. And that's like a gratitude right there. So the universe is like, okay, this, like, we're making notes of this. This is what you like. My dad loves to make home cooked meals and loves to, like, really pays attention to like what I really enjoy to eat. And so when he does that, I could literally feel the transfer of the love in the food that I'm eating. And so I would write that down and be grateful for that. And like all of a sudden you just get this list, and it's just like it elevates you, and you realize like all these people are actually, you're also grateful because all these other people can provide that for you. You don't need it from some one person, but it's also invited to show up in that one person.
Yeah. And it's like we know, or I think intuitively, I knew, and I think a lot of people know, that when there is that one person who brings these feelings together and we get to share even more of life together in a committed relationship or whatever it might look like saying, this is the person that is going to be by my side. And, we get to like create this fairy tale, right? This adventure, this journey, this experience that we want to have with that romantic partner who, number one, does all these things. And I love that you use your dad, because like that was the masculine energy that modeled to you what you value and what makes you feel good. My mom, she demonstrated like nurturing me and like really taking care of me. And my girlfriend Petya, she's like one of the most loving, nurturing, like caring, when like taking care of people type of people I've ever met. She just like goes the extra mile and so family oriented, right? So my mom instilled that value in me. I didn't even know that was important to me. I didn't write that down in my, manifesting my dream woman, that she's like going to be this really great kind of homey, feminine presence. She's a freaking powerhouse, and she also loves to take care of me, right? And takes care of people. I would have never like known that, but like I just manifested it, thankfully, because I was in tune with it. But the way you're approaching it, it's way more practical, and you can actually design it. You can design that person for what we want to bring and call into our life. It's super awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing like you mentioned too is sort of like she's your girlfriend is a powerhouse as well as this sort of nurturer, and that's also something that I like to address within when I'm working with individuals, is sort of balancing that masculine and feminine energy, having an awareness of when to bring it out and when to bring one out versus the other. Because both sexes, both male and female sexes, have both masculine and feminine energy. Sure. And it's really important for all of us to learn and to manage them both, and sort of like when one comes out versus the other. Because as a female, I used to spend a lot of time in my masculine energy, which didn't serve me. It wasn't my natural. It wasn't my nature, and it wasn't my natural inclination. I was doing it as a protection mechanism. And so I didn't know that then. But now that I am aware of it, and I'm able to sort of be softer and be in my feminine and choose being the nurturing version of myself, I can feel my level of connection to source and my level of joy and peace be really present, because I'm not needing to be in protective mode. There's nothing for me to protect myself with right now. Like I'm good, I'm okay. And to just, which when I'm in my feminine, it allows my man to show up in my masculine. Now, I happen to be heterosexual, but this works even in homosexual relationships, because there's usually one that will be more dominant in their masculine and one more dominant in their feminine. So I just want to reiterate that, like, this works in all relationships. It doesn't have to be specifically to heterosexual relationships.
Gold. I love it. Nadika. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the barriers and the blocks. I think that was something that we really wanted to dive into today. Is there anything else that people might be doing that might be blocking them or kind kind of self-sabotaging them from creating the love that they want for someone else, bringing that, attracting that into their life, or just for themselves? Is there anything else that comes to mind?
Yeah, so I believe that none of us are intentionally going out there sabotaging our lives. That would just be crazy. So I think that a lot of our stuff comes from our subconscious.
Yeah.
So I find the best way for me to describe this is for me to share a story with you, and hopefully this will resonate with one or more people, and gives you a little bit of insight on how I work with people. So I had a lady come and work with me, and she had 7 PhDs. Okay. So I don't know if you know anyone that has 7 PhDs, but I clearly did not. So the first question I asked her is, do you believe that you're smart? And she said instantly, no.
Wow.
So I had to this is to me, to you, it doesn't make sense. I could see that in your face. To me, I'm like, what? That doesn't make no sense at all. But I'm familiar with this work. So I was okay, let's go back and to do this work. I asked her to close her eyes, and I said, remember, so the opposite, she doesn't believe she's smart. So the opposite of smart is stupid. So I said to her, close your eyes and think about the first memory you have of feeling stupid. Okay. So she closed her eyes, and right away it came to her. It doesn't always right away come to you, but it usually will after a little bit of time. So for her, it came up right away. When she was 4 years old, she was trying to pour a 4-liter jug of milk into a glass. She's trying to fill up her glass, but she had to carry this big 4-liter jug. Mm-hmm. The jug fell down and milk spilt everywhere. And this is her memory that she's sharing. And her mom was like, oh, look, what are you, stupid? Look at the mess you made. Oh, we got to clean this up. And she got frantic. So now her mom, this was probably not a defining moment for her mom. If she was to talk to her mom probably wouldn't even remember that it happened. But for her, this was a defining moment. So remember, most of our beliefs are defined by the birth to 8 years of age. Yep. So these are defining moment years. So when she was 4, she had written on her blueprint on her forehead, she tattooed it, she's wearing a t-shirt with it on it, that she's stupid. So she goes out into the world believing that she is stupid. And she went out there to prove to the world and herself that she's not stupid. Mm-hmm. And how did she do that? Keep on going and getting all these PhDs and educated accolades and all these kinds of things. But in the end, when I asked her if she felt stupid or if she felt smart, she said no. So I call that putting icing on shit. Yep. Because it's still, the shit's still there. Yep. You just got icing on top of it, right? Yep. So what I do is, again, removing those blocks, peeling back those layers, getting to the root cause. Now, if I was to ask you as an adult looking at that 4-year-old, does that mean when you're carrying a 4-liter jug, which weighs pretty much the entire weight of your body, and you're trying to pour it into a small glass, does that make you stupid that you spilt the milk? No. And even for her, until she was able to revisit it as an adult into her child and to find that compassion and to let that story go, that does not mean that she's stupid. That specific instance does not define that core belief for her. And then she was able to revisit it and re-see it with different eyes. But until then, it was in her subconscious. So she didn't realize that she was going out into the world trying to prove that she's not stupid to others and herself. Mm-hmm. So these are the things, some of these things are caught, they're stuck in our blind spot. And that's where I come in and I can help people kind of get to it. Yeah. So it's not always something that's in my conscious mind that I'm out there in destructive mode. But you can start to notice if you see repetitive patterns. Like if you're constantly in a relationship and you're constantly end up cheating on someone, or if you're constantly left feeling abandoned, that's a common theme. Those are things that's a hint that there's something going on. You're the common denominator. I'm the common denominator. We're always the common denominator of our experiences. And again, that's a non-judgmental thing. It's just okay, this keeps reoccurring. So let's look at why that is. So That's sort of how I would like to answer that question.
I love it. That's so powerful. That's like that. It just really, and with you, Nadika, like if someone has you on their team, on their side to like look at what's the patterns that's showing up, let's start to take a look at like what really happened. I think that's like really creating the best advantage for whoever's out there listening or watching right now, like to be able to overcome it, to break through it. So I think it's a really great story and perfect segue into wrapping the conversation up and saying, how can people really transform their blind spots, their barriers by working with you? What are the next steps that they can take?
Yeah, so if you feel a calling, like if you feel like you're ready to do this, it is work. It is work, but I don't believe that work has to be a negative connotation. It's a commitment.
Yes.
Commitment can be fun because it's a commitment. There will be exercises. There will be peeling back the layers. There will be moments of discomfort, but all of it is a journey to coming undone, to being the true essence of who you are. Yeah, so I have coaching packages I'm happy to offer, like if you feel aligned to work with me. If not, I definitely recommend you finding someone that you resonate with and the work in which you resonate with. And because that is important, you have to connect with the person, you have to connect with it has to be an alignment. Like I said, we all have contracts that we sign with each other, and even with work, we have contracts that we sign with each other. So you and I have a contract, and and all the people I've worked with in the past, we've had contracts, and they've been great. And so if you you'll just trust your intuition, who that person is that you choose to work with, and there's no right or wrong answer, because if you choose and it's not the most ideal person, then switch it up. There's nothing
It's just
wrong
feedback. It's just feedback to say, okay, here's what I really love, and I'm committed to having as part of my coach. Now I know I need Nadika. I want Nadika. She's gonna cause that transformation. So this is great. I love the alignment. Where do they go to connect with you? Of course, they can find you on Facebook. I'll tag your name on the post, and then for them, where should they go? Your website, social media.
Yeah, nakedlovecoach.com.
Okay.
Spelled exactly how it sounds. And my email is info@nakedlovecoach.com. You can follow me on Instagram @nakedlovecoach, and all other platforms of social media. You can find me with Naked Love Coach. So yeah, you're definitely welcome to follow me. I'm happy to answer any other further questions. I've got on my contact page, you can fill out a little, you can send me a message through there. You could submit your information, and I'd be happy to get back to you. Awesome. And yeah, all that.
Awesome. Nadika, you are a superstar. Thank you for coming here and sharing this. It's been a blast. Your energetic perspective and wisdom, spiritual perspective, wisdom, tactical, hey, let's get the people empowered to create that relationship with themselves of their dreams, as well as the dream partner. So thank you for what you do. I'm committed to getting even more real, authentic, naked in my life. So everyone who's tuning in, if you want to get naked with Nadika, definitely make it happen. And I appreciate you. Thank you for bringing this, and you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you soon, okay?
See you soon.